part 4 of how to install a cast stone mantelpiece from Architectural Accents in Atlanta, Georgia. As you know, we've got to the stage that, we've actually dry mounted this. We've obviously installed the hearth prior to that. We've installed some slips inside it. And we are now mixing up the final slurry so that the top of the mantle, the apron as we call it, is going on. We've already leveled it. We know that it's going to be perfect. We know that the legs are plumb and parallel, and we're doing exactly the same as we did with the legs and preparing that little pad for the top to fit on. The dowel is in place. So you remember we drilled the hole in that top upside down, and that dowel is going to seat itself into that top. And we're just easing this down. Now it's seated, so the whole point is you make sure it's level. You can see the level there, and tap it down, get a nice solid clunk. The next stage is that we're going to use a pastry bag, and we're going to start to put a little bit of this mixture into that pastry bag. And we're going to fill the void that's just behind that basically behind the apron where the slip meets it. Because being a direct copy of an antique mantel, you need to get the details right, and this is how you do it. It's a little tricky to do, but if you mix it dry enough and make the bite, it works. Now we're mixing up the final coating that's going to be the grout joint. And the grout joint is basically, we like to use an antique white. You can use any antique white that you like. We like to use a sanded grout because it's what would have been used before, and the texture corresponds with the roughness of the stone. And we are basically grouting every single joint. Hearth, legs, top, returns, inside returns, we're grouting everything. And of course we're grouting the slip. And of course we're grouting now the hearth. And you notice we didn't grout the hearth until we'd finished, and there's a very good reason for that. I like to mix up the grout so A, there's a perfect match, and B, I like to have it so that at least when I walk away, it's all clean and there's no massive redo. I like to do everything one time, and the most important thing is to do it one time. You can take a fair amount of time doing it and be patient, but if you do it one time and that's done properly, then overall it'll be a better job and you will have saved actually some time. We're touching up basically the blacks that are in the firebox to make sure that it's a nice clean finished look, and as you can see, we have now basically finished. So there we are. We've got a before and we've got an after of a mantel that Architectural Accents made here in Atlanta. We're going to show you the end product when the customer has actually moved in, and it's a really good illustration of the fact that although we do all these old mantels, of which we have hundreds in this sort of 30,000 square foot showroom we have down in Atlanta, Architectural Accents also does over 30 reproduction cast stone mantels, and we carve new wooden ones and we do marble ones as well. And the preconception that an antique mantel or even a cast stone faithful reproduction properly proportioned will not go into a contemporary backdrop, is going to be completely flawed, because when you look at this mantle in a contemporary setting, it's every bit as good, and in fact you could argue even more interesting in a contemporary setting than it would be in a traditional setting. Stay connected with us, and last of all, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more how-tos and behind the scenes.